Sarah here, and welcome to my sandbag squat video tutorial. Before you watch my sandbag squat tutorial, I recommend you click the card and watch my air squat tutorial. Now, when you're first learning how to do the sandbag squats, I recommend you start with a lighter bag. This one just happens to be 60 pounds, but you don't have to fill it up with 60 pounds of sand. You could fill it up with 40 pounds of sand. If you don't have a sandbag, then you could also start with a medicine ball or a D ball. You could start with a 10-pound or a 20-pound one. So if you want to get the same strong fit sandbags that I have, then you can click the card up there. Okay, let's first quickly review squat mechanics. So I'm adopting the stance that's most comfortable for my hip joint anatomy. Now, I happen to like a slightly wider stance with my feet toed out, but you may prefer a narrower stance with your feet facing forward. Experiment, figure out what feels most comfortable for your hip joint anatomy. So when I squat, I first activate my external obliques, the muscles on the sides here, and I shoot my hips down and then back, then I bend the knees. I'm using my inner hamstrings. I'm maintaining tension in my external obliques the whole time. And then I come back up, squeezing my glute max at the top. Now, breathing also plays a very important role in this. If you can coordinate your breathing with your movement, then you can enhance your performance. So as I descend into the squat, I'm going to breathe in through my nose. On the way back up, I'm going to exhale through pursed lips. All right, let's apply these techniques now to the sandbag. So place your feet on each side of the sandbag and make sure the tied off part is facing backwards. You're going to shimmy one hand underneath, do the same on the other side. Now we need to deadlift the sandbag onto our lap. So that means we need to activate our external obliques. So take a look, watch me activate them. Did you see that? Watch again. Okay, now I'm going to exhale through pursed lips and deadlift this sucker onto my lap. Okay, so it's on my lap, and I've wrapped my hands around the sandbag. I've clasped one hand around my other wrist, and I'm going to stand up with the sandbag. Let's take a look from the front view. So I have my feet on each side of the sandbag. Shimmy my hand under. Shimmy it under the other side, activate my external obliques, exhale through pursed lips, deadlift it onto my lap. See how I wrapped my hand around the other wrist? Stand up. So next I'm going to adopt my comfortable stance position. I'm going to activate my pecs, my chest muscles, by squeezing the bag. But don't make the mistake of shrugging up when you do that. You want to keep the lats engaged so that the shoulders don't shrug up. Now remember the rule, we need to use our external obliques throughout the entire squat. Now pressing the sandbag below the belly button is a good cue to help you keep your external obliques engaged the whole time. So what I'm going to do now, chest engaged, external obliques are engaged, I am going to shoot my hips down and back, and I'm going to have tension in my inner hamstrings, and then I'm going to come back up, squeezing the glute max at the top. Now I want you to pay attention to my breathing. How do I know how deep I go? Well, as soon as I can no longer inhale through my nose anymore, that's where I stop. Watch again. So I stop there, then come back up. If you don't have as much mobility as I do, yours may look like this. So you would only squat to parallel, and that's fine. You're going to work within the mobility that you have right now. So how do you improve your mobility? How do you improve the depth of your squat? So that means you're going to need to work on improving the strength and mobility in your inner hamstrings as well as your external obliques. So for the external obliques, you can click the card up there. There are 3 exercises that I teach you to strengthen and improve the mobility in the external oblique muscles. And for the inner hamstrings, that means you're going to need to learn how to properly hinge at the hips. So learning how to properly do a stiff leg deadlift, a conventional deadlift, Dimmel deadlifts, for example. So let's take a look at the whole thing from the side view. So I shimmy my hands underneath, activate my external obliques, exhale through pursed lips to deadlift, lap it, stand up. Adopt the comfortable stance position, engage my pecs, my external obliques, shoot my hips back and down, use my inner hamstrings, keep my external obliques engaged, and then come back up, squeezing my glute max at the top. So we're gonna inhale through the nose on the way down. When you can't breathe in anymore, that's where you stop so you don't go any deeper. And then you're gonna come back up, exhaling through pursed lips. I can't emphasize enough just how important that breathing is. When you coordinate your breathing with your movement, it can really enhance your performance. It's going to allow you to stay calmer longer, which is why you can bang out more reps. And we just bang them out. If you pause, you stop, you dilly-dally, then you're done. You gotta just go with it. Get into a flow state. All right, let's take a look at what not to do. Don't lose tension in your external obliques and end up butt winking like this. You never want to sacrifice good form for depth. So if all you can do right now is squat to parallel, that's awesome. Do that. Work within the mobility that you have right now. Don't initiate the squat with your knees. Always initiate the squat with your hips first, then bend at the knees. Make sure when you squat that your ear travels in a line straight up and down. You don't want the ear to travel forwards like that. That's a sign of quad dominance, which is not a good thing. It can cause horrible knee pain. So the goal is to strengthen the posterior chain and overcome the quad dominance. If you notice you're still diving forward with the knees, then really think about shooting that butt back and down. You may find it easier to widen the stance so that you can really sit your butt back. And last but not least, if you have this feeling that you're gonna fall backwards on your butt, then I recommend you put a bench behind you. And just so you know, this is how I learned. So I had to adopt a very wide stance, and I would really shoot my butt back and down. I would kiss the bench and then come back up. So you don't wanna just flop down on the bench, and you never wanna do this to get back up either. So make sure you just kiss the bench and come back up. So don't get hung up on this notion of having to go ass to grass. What I want you to get hung up on is moving well, understanding what your true mobility is and working within that. And by gradually making increases in strength and mobility with your external obliques and your inner hamstrings, before you know it, you will be squatting ass to grass. I recommend you do what I do. Video yourself from the front view, from the side view, and from the rear view so you can see if there's anything sketchy going on. For example, are you shifting at the hips when you squat? So this is what it looks like to squat with a hip shift. That's why I want you to engage your external obliques, because that will help prevent hip shifting. It'll keep you symmetrical. And the other thing I want you to look for when you're videoing, what are your upper traps doing? Are you shrugging up like this, or is one shrugging up like this? So that's why it's important you do video yourself for feedback. Really use those lats, engage the chest, don't shrug up. Make sure you video yourself from the side view so you can see if you're diving with the knees or shifting forward, or if your heels are coming up off the ground, or if you're butt winking. So when you video it, post it on Instagram and tag me at Dr. Sarah Solomon so I can see it and give you feedback. All right, well, thank you for watching my video tutorial. For more exercise tutorials just like this, as well as my vlogs on how to fix muscle imbalances and my recipe videos, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye.